Hello and welcome to my GW26 watch list. Starting off with the goalkeepers, not a lot of changes here. In the premium bracket especially, things stay pretty much the same. But in the mid-price bracket, I think a new option emerges, and that is David Raya, who I think is the goalkeeper to go for currently. I mean, simply due to the numbers. Look at the next 5 game weeks, and it's all pretty clear why he is currently the best option. Not to mention that he's actually been great this season. Brentford are just a good team, and he's great for saves. Also gets a few bonus points. So yeah, top spot for me. If you're looking for a goalkeeper, I would go for Raya. Ramsdale still a good option if you already don't have 3 Arsenal, and Kepa, I mean, still a good option. He has no blank game weeks, so that's a plus. And even though Thiago Silva is out for the foreseeable future, I still think Chelsea will pick up a few clean sheets along the way. So yeah, that's it for the goalkeepers. Moving on to the defenders, we have Trippier, who reclaims the top spot in this watch list, especially in the premium bracket. He is just a no-brainer. Reece James gets a small rise because Chelsea's fixtures are looking great, and especially if they get knocked out of the Champions League, he is more guaranteed to start in the Premier League. We all know about Reece James and his attacking potential, so yeah, a good option. Yes, there will always be fitness concerns with him, injury concerns, but he is a player whose upside is just too great to ignore, in my opinion. Trent and Robertson, Liverpool have kept 2 clean sheets in the double game week, but I'm still not convinced about their defensive capabilities, and especially with the fixtures turning for the worse, I wouldn't be too keen on Liverpool defensive assets currently. Perisic, yeah, again, rotation threat because of Champions League is holding him back really. The fixtures are good, but yeah, again, rotation threat, and it's not like Spurs have been incredible defensively this season that you have to go for him. So yeah, an asset I'm happily ready to ignore. Diaz, um, perhaps the most nailed City asset now that he is back and fully fit, but again, Champions League rotation and just general Pep rotation means that I am not too keen on Ruben Dias. Thiago Silva picked up an injury, unfortunately, so not an option to consider. In the mid-price assets, we have Gabriel and Zinchenko still at the top. Gabriel, if you want perhaps a bit more safety, although I just think Zinchenko is as nailed as Gabriel is, so no worries there. Gabriel offers more attacking threat perhaps from set pieces, and Zinchenko perhaps more attacking threat from open play. Both great options in my opinion. Zinchenko may be a bit more injury prone. So yeah, if you want to go safe, go Gabriel. If you aren't worried about the minuscule possibility of injury to Zinchenko, then I would go Zinchenko. White actually gets a small rise because the threat of rotation from Tomiyasu is negligible at this point, so yeah, a great asset. Me and Dunk and Stupinian, you can also put any Brentford defender here. For example, Rico Henry seems to be a good one due to his price and the fact that he is a fullback. However, me is a bit more nailed. So me is the one you want to go for if you want a player who's guaranteed to play all these games. Likewise with Dunk, there's just no chance he misses out except if he gets injured. That being said, Estupinian also, I believe, will play all of these games. Maybe he will miss one. We have to see. Unfortunately, he seems to have picked up a small injury, so check out any injury news about him before getting him in. But yeah, Brentford and Brighton defensive assets. just seem to be the way to go forward. The way to go moving forward, because yeah, the sheer volume of fixtures means that even if they do not keep a clean sheet, they will probably outscore most defenders in the game. So yeah, I am very keen on these assets. Shaw and Varane, decent options, but the fixtures in the short term are not looking great. Darren Davis, on the other hand, great fixtures, but the team they're playing for aren't looking great. Yes, I know Spurs have kept a couple of clean sheets in the past few games, but I'm still not convinced about how good Spurs are defensively. Dyer, a bit more safer option perhaps. Davies, a bit more attacking threat from open play maybe, but yeah, not much in it. But yeah, Shield, you could say with Thiago Silva's injury that his place in the team, the starting 11, is more guaranteed, and it probably is. But also on the other hand, his chance of actually getting the clean sheet is lower, because Thiago Silva is a very important piece to that Chelsea defense. So yeah, still an okay option. But Yashil, Akanji and Ake, again, City defensive assets, just the rotation threat is too high and the fixtures aren't great. And yeah, moving on to the 3.9 to 4.5 million bracket, sort of the cheaper options. Botman returns to the top of this bracket, because I expect Newcastle to be, after the City game, to be a very hot commodity. Uh, Defensively, although they have faltered a bit perhaps in the past few game weeks, I still believe in them right up until the end of the season, and the price is great. So yeah, Botman remains, is actually a very good option. Mings, with this game against Everton gone, yes, if you want someone to play in game week 28, he is an option. He has a great fixture against Bournemouth then. And then, of course, he has a double game week, and then it's Forest after that. But Villa haven't shown anything to convince me that they are a particularly good side from a defensive point of view. So, yeah, a decent option, but not quite a good one like Botman or, for example, me and Dunk. Lewis, yeah, the price is great. It's very tempting, but he has less than 50% chance of starting every game week. So if you're comfortable with that, and you have enough cover on the bench to come in for Lewis, he can be someone you can play, because he doesn't seem to come on from the bench too often when he doesn't start. But especially at this time of the season, I can't really recommend him. Faiz and Castagne, yeah, it's Leicester, unfortunately, and I'm not too convinced about their defensive capabilities. The price is great, they have some decent fixtures, they have a double game week, but no. Kilman and Tarkovsky, yeah, their time is gone, unfortunately, with this blank game week and double game week out of the way. They lose a bit of shine. Their utility isn't as great as it was a few weeks ago. So yeah, they naturally fall down the pecking order. And Patterson, still the cheapest option, but we've yet to see if he has nailed down that right back spot or right wing back spot under Sean Dyche. So yeah, that's it for the defenders. Moving on to the midfielders and the premium brackets, I rate Bruno just a bit higher than, for example, KDB and Salah. I think his fixtures are nicer, and he is more nailed than KDB and plays for a better team currently than Salah. So he is the superior asset, not to mention his price, of course, but yeah, currently a superior asset to KDB and Salah, in my opinion. Speaking of KDB and Salah, uh, still okay options, but I'm not too keen on them. Son and Sterling, even though they have excellent fixtures, have been disappointing us all season, so I just cannot recommend them. In the next bracket, 7.3 to 8.3, we have Saka at the top, still remains excellent value. Yeah, Arsenal's main man. Mahrez, and I've actually added in Foden because if Foden seems to be in Pep's good books again, and his injury concerns are cleared up, he has started the last few games. He's already got a great haul against Bournemouth. So yeah, the rotation is always going to be an issue with these two assets, but they can be explosive, and it's worth keeping an eye out on them. I wouldn't get them in just now. Newcastle and then Crystal Palace away, along with Champions League commitments, means that there's too much uncertainty for me, but then game week 29 onwards, definitely one of these assets will be tempting. Maddison, the main man from Leicester, yeah, he's been smashing it the past few weeks, but also one I would hold on and assess in the upcoming game weeks. Yes, Southampton is a good fixture, but then it's Chelsea and Brentford, not the greatest of fixtures. And yeah, get him in for the double if you want to, because I think there's also some injury concerns with Madison, but do check that out. I'm not 100% certain. Gakpo, yeah, with the double game week out of the way, he loses his appeal a bit. Not quite as bad an option as Kulusevski and Bowen, but yeah, almost as bad. Because with Jota coming back, Salah is really the only nailed starter in that front three from Liverpool. And yeah, if you want to go Liverpool, go for Salah. If you don't have the money for Salah, I would not go for Gakpo. I would rather look elsewhere. In the 5.3 to 7.2 million bracket, Odegaard and Rashford remain at the top. Martinelli actually sticks around here in the good option bracket because we've actually seen a shift from Arsenal. Um, I don't know if it's just due to Nketiah maybe having some injury concerns, but I think that until Jesus is back, Martinelli, Trossard, and Saka is going to be the front three. So yeah, Martinelli is a good option, especially if you kept him throughout this time. He's definitely a keep from me. Look, the threat from Trossard is always there. Nketiah could come back and play striker. Jesus also, when he comes back, is indirectly a danger to Martinelli's minutes, but yeah, still a good option. However, I do prefer Odegaard and Saka. Almiron, okay option. He has slowed down massively in the second part of the season, which is to be expected. The worrying thing is his expected goal involvement hasn't been great, but after the City game, there's a good fixture on, there's a double game week, so at that price, he is still a good option. Just don't overreact when he doesn't smash it in for a 10-pointer every game like he did in the second part of the first half of the season. Mudrik, yeah, he is here simply due to the fixtures that Chelsea have. However, not an option I would go for. Likewise with Visa, if we knew he would start all of these games, he would be an excellent option. But we don't. So, yeah. Unfortunately, doesn't seem we have a Brentford midfielder. With Buendia, the situation is a bit different. I expect him to be more nailed than Wissa, especially with, I think, Coutinho's injury right now, and Leon Bailey may be falling out of favor a little bit. I've been actually quite impressed with Buendia in the past few weeks, so I think he could be a good option. Maybe a bit better than Vissa and Mudrik. However, not quite in the Almiron bracket because he doesn't have that that's real safety and security of starts like Almiron does. And moving on to the cheap bracket of 4.2 to 5.2 million, March and Mitoma are back. I simply have to give them a huge boost in rating because, yeah, with 2 double game weeks in the next 4 fixtures, even if you don't have someone to cover for them in game week 28, and you do, for example, play with 10 players in your team, I still think it's worth it because, yeah, excellent options, excellent value. Brighton are a great team, and be sure to pick one of these up, if not both. McAllister is also an option. His XGI has actually been insane in the past few games. However, I think generally the wingers are the players to target in this Brighton system, and I expect March and Mitoma to both outscore McAllister. However, do keep an eye out on Brighton. Pereira, Bailey, and Somerville. Pereira, if you want someone who's nailed, however, game week 28 is a blank for him. Bailey, you can't be certain of his minutes. And Somerville also, there's some risk of rotation with Leeds having as many attacking options as they do have. And De Silva, yeah, the number of games is there and the price is there. However, also the threat of rotation is there, and his XGI isn't really that great. So yeah, that's it for the midfielders. Moving on to the forwards, Haaland still remains at the top. Not much needs to be said there. Kane is a great option, especially with the news that he will be playing in the blank game week 28. Looks like one of the standout captaincy options in that game week. Yeah, incredible consistency all season. So yeah, still a great option. Darwin Nunez, with Jota's return, he becomes an even less appealing option than he was before. So no, I wouldn't go there. I might even downgrade him further in the coming weeks. But yeah, as I've said, if you want a Liverpool attacking asset, just get Salah. If not, just get a attacking asset from some other team. Jota, below Darwin currently simply due to the fact that he's just coming back from an injury. However, I do rate him highly as a player, and I believe he is a player who gets a lot of chances, and unlike Darwin, he can actually finish some of them. Vardy, yeah, almost forgotten by now. In the 6.0 to 7.7 million bracket, we have Tony at the top. So I've been against Tony pretty much the entire time since the restart has happened, since the World Cup. And now he's actually pleaded guilty to his to the charges of him betting on football matches. So yeah, he will get a suspension. However, with the next fixtures being as great as they are, or actually with the number of games being as high as it is in the next 4 game weeks for Ivan Toney, I think there is just no ignoring him currently. The process of him being banned will probably last a few weeks, a few months, who knows. So yeah, even though I have been going on and on about how he's not a good option because any day now he can get banned, I just have to admit it that I was wrong and that he is just a great option, especially with 2 doubles incoming. Watkins, yeah, I think he's scored in 4 or 5 games in a row, or at least gotten an attacking return in the last 4 or 5 games. So very consistent from him, as nailed as he can be For Villa, yeah, actually a good option, especially because game week 28 he has Bournemouth at home. After that, it's a double and then Forest at home. So the fixture run is looking good. Uh, mm, I don't know what else to say about Watkins. Just a good option, a good solid option at that price, especially. So yeah, if you need a third striker, I would definitely consider Watkins. If you can't quite stretch to Tony, because I do prefer Tony, he's just a better finisher in my opinion, and I'm not quite sure if Watkins is on penalties for Villa, but Tony is definitely on penalties for Brentford, and just Brentford are a team I trust more than I do Aston Villa. So yeah, Tony better, but Watkins still very good. Then it's Felix. Joao Felix is an option to consider. The fixtures are still great for Chelsea, however, they just can't score. They just cannot score, unfortunately. Nketiah fallen way down the pecking order. He used to be in the same bracket as Tony, or rather, he was in the bracket that Tony is now. However, with the absolute chaos that this double game week brought us, I have serious doubts about him. I don't think he is part of the starting 11, unfortunately. And look, with the game against Bournemouth up next, even if he doesn't start, if he comes on from the bench, he can do some damage. But generally, you would like to have the best three Arsenal assets against such a weak opponent. If you have him, maybe give him a week or two and reassess. But it's not looking good, unfortunately, for Nketiah owners, myself included. Wilson, uh, yeah, simply cannot be higher on this list, with Manchester City up next, and just not a very explosive asset in general. However, a decent option. He is definitely better than Nketiah currently. He's somewhere in between the Nketiah and Watkins brackets. Well, let's put it that way. Iheanacho, same argument as the one I made with Madison. I would wait perhaps 2 or 3 weeks before getting him in for the double, because yeah, him and Madison have been on fire these past few game weeks. But still, it's Leicester. We shouldn't really get carried away by a few results. However, you can't deny the points output that they both put up. So, an option to keep in our minds for sure. Bamford, yeah, wouldn't go there, unfortunately. Especially with Jorginho Rutne now seemingly preferred under the new coach. We have to see against Chelsea how they line up, but yeah, not really an option to go for. Mitrovic also gets a massive downgrade. Unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that Brentford away, Arsenal at home, and then a blank game week isn't what you want to see for a player you want to get in. So hold on if you want to get in Mitrovic, and think about selling him if you have him, unfortunately. Although I still believe for the future, in game week 29, 30, 31, Mitrovic can become a great option again, because I still think Fulham is a good team from a attacking point of view. Weghorst, no, 4.6 to 5.9 million bracket. Nonto and Mbomo are the only two options I would give any consideration to. However, they aren't really options to seriously go for. Nonto, yeah, Leeds struggling to score. He's playing on the wing. He looks like a quality player, but I wouldn't waste a spot on Nonto, unfortunately. And Mbomo, yeah, he's just a worse version of Ivan Toney. So if you already have Tony and you perhaps want to go for a double up of Brentford players, I can't blame you with the fixture run that's coming up. However, I think there are better ways to spend your forward slots, or rather your attacking player slots, because going with 5 midfielders or going perhaps with 3 strikers that are not Nonto and Bomo I think is a clear option currently. But yeah, Onuachu, Johnson, Solanke, Cunha, all the rest, not really options we should consider. You can also add the likes of Ings and Jimenez, etc., to the list of red assets. Basically, if they're not on the watch list, I think they're in the red. And in the 4.2 to 4.6 actually million bracket, we have Ferguson at the top, who is a very interesting option. Yes, the threat of rotation with Welbeck is there, but if he really does have that striker spot locked in, he can be a brilliant asset. At that price, playing for such a good team with 2 double game weeks coming up, perhaps if you're on a wild card, you can get him in if you don't already have 3 Brighton assets. And if you're desperate for money and you're, for example, moving from someone like Nketiah or someone like Darwin and redistributing that money into midfield, you need an enabler. I think Ferguson is the one to go for. Yeah, if you have a free Brighton spot, Ferguson, I think he is first choice striker right now, ahead of Welbeck. I cannot be for sure. That's why I can't put him in the, even greater bracket than he is currently. But I like him. Greenwood, price, simply because of the price. He's here simply because of the price. And yeah, don't expect much more than a one pointer from Greenwood, if you even get a 1 pointer, because they have a lot of attacking options currently. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and see you next week. Bye.